Welcome everyone to Beyond the Finish Line, my new series where I review the latest weekly challenges, show which cars I used, and offer you potential cars to use yourself to complete the challenges. Typically, I like to use cars I haven't driven before or haven't driven much, unless the challenge calls for a specific car. I'll also show what changes I made to any car in order to make the race more challenging for myself. And also show you the strategy I used for the fifth race, which has always been a race with tire wear and fuel consumption, and can be the most challenging of the bunch. Now I'll quickly go through each race and showcase any highlights and blunders I may have had, and show what it took for me to get the win. And before we start, please like, comment and subscribe. A simple click for you is a big help to the channel and is appreciated more than I can express. Thank you. Today's episode is February Week 1, Weekly Challenges. We have one special event, one make race in the Tesla Model 3, and they put in two of the new races added in Update 1.42, one from the Jimmy Cup and one from the Vision Gran Turismo Trophy. First race is the Jimmy Cup, 3 laps at Lake Louise Short Track Reverse, and for this race I didn't make any changes to the specs of the Jimny. It only has 158 horsepower. And with it being in the snow, and me not being very good in it, I didn't want to make any changes, but it still ended up being pretty easy to get the win. Even though I don't have the best control of driving in the snow, I was still able to get by the field and get myself into P1 before the end of the first lap. Then I got to have fun just kicking up the snow around the track. And although this race was easy, I was still struggling to keep control, so I was lucky I had more power than the AI and put some distance on them. One big crash and I probably would have had to restart the race. Here in the third, approaching the finish line, I was still swinging and swaying, and still on the verge of losing control, but I managed to hold it together somehow, and with a bit more of a lead on the field, the snow is my kryptonite. And crossing the line for the win at the Lake Louise Jimny Cup, and my overpowered Suzuki Jimny, this race took just over 3.5 minutes to complete, and ready to move on to the next. And that is the one make special event in the Tesla Model 3, 3 laps at Blue Moon Bay Speedway Infield A. I made changes to the specs of the Model 3 to try to make the race competitive, and it sorta worked. Here are the changes. First, I'm on racing soft tires, and the changes are, I lowered the output adjustment and the power restrictor. Like I said, it sorta worked. The AI had more power, but were easy to pass on turns. They brake early and I brake a little late, and positions were gained easily. About just over halfway through the second lap, I was able to get by P1 for the lead, and it was clear sailing after that. Another fairly simple race. If you want to make it more challenging, try adding weight to the car, which is what I should have done. Another quick and easy race to get the win, and completed in just under 4 minutes. The third race of the weekly challenges is the World Touring Car 600, 5 laps at Tokyo Expressway south counterclockwise, and for this race I chose to drive the 2016 Toyota SFR Racing Concept. This is maybe the second or third time I've driven this car. I tried it out at Nürburgring a while back when I first bought it. I lowered the power quite significantly for this race, and here are the changes I made. I lowered the output adjustment, power restrictor, added weight, and I'm on racing soft tires. The first time I attempted this, I came in second. I knew what I did wrong, which included a couple hard crashes, but even still, there was no guarantee for a win in this race. The first 6 AI drivers were not hard to get past. At the U-turn, I got myself into P10, but the front pack I needed to do some catching up on. Coming out of the big left on the back half of the course, I got close to getting in the middle pack that formed at this point, but then they started pulling away. But I knew I'd take this upcoming bend faster and would catch back up. And I was able to stay pretty close to them this time. They only pulled away slightly by the time we hit the upcoming right. I almost hit the wall, but managed to save it, and this is where I was able to make my move on them, and try to cut through and get ahead. I got by a few, then got in the mix with this Lamborghini and Supra, but was able to get by on the next right bend. Then as I was making ground on the Porsche, the Lamborghini shows its speed. I knew this from the first race, so I knew he was my biggest obstacle. But he also brakes early, and through this section here I was able to keep up, and on the next turn I was able to get by him and then another by the U-turn. Here I caught up to P4, had a little fender bender, but he kept taking off on me every time I got close. Caught him here and was able to get by him and into P3 before the end of this section. Took me that whole straight to catch up to P2, but he also takes off on me. I started really using the nitrous here, caught up to him and was able to get by and take the position. I caught up to P1 on the same section on the next lap, and I used half of my nitrous by then. My plan was to save at least half for the final lap. Here I saw the Lambo coming on my radar, but didn't know it was actually the Lambo till it passed, so I was going to block, but saw the speed and tried to get out the way unsuccessfully. But I was able to still get by him through here. I had to keep using the nitrous to stay ahead. The Lambo can easily pass me at the end if I don't have enough of a lead. But I did build up enough of a lead with my finger on the nitrous while crossing the line, and actually a little bit of distance on the Lambo. Got myself the victory after a hard-fought race in just under 11 minutes. The fourth race is one of the new Vision Gran Turismo trophy races, 5 laps at Monza, and I decided on using the Group 1 McLaren VGT. This car is featured in one of my Sardinia Lazy Man money methods. Check it out if you're looking for a new car to grind with. I have a Lazy Man playlist to make it easier to find. These are the changes I made to try to make the race more competitive. Entering the backstretch in P10 on the first lap, an AI has a crash and I get a free position. Second lap at the death chicane, in P7, and this AI goes off-roading, and I'm not able to avoid him and he gives me a little hit, but not enough to spin me out. I catch up to P2 and 3 by the last turn on the same lap. I get by P3, and at the chicane I was able to get by P2 for the position. P1 is driving the Genesis VGT from update 1.42, and it actually has some decent speed in this race. I got by him on the exit here. I thought I was in the clear, but then shortly after he flew by me with ease. I brake much later than him going into the turn, and get by him once again. As we start the fourth lap he flies by me again, and I get him right back on the chicane, but I lose grip and almost go completely off-road, and he gets by once again. At this S-turn, I get right up on him and get the pass on the exit, and with him braking early on the next couple turns, I'm able to gain a little distance on him and hold on to P1. And fortunately for the last lap and a half, I was able to keep the lead till the end and get the win. Not as challenging as the last race, but still fun. Finished in less than 8.5 minutes, and now on to the final race. And that would be the World Touring Car 700, 7 laps at Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit, and I'm driving the Group 4 Jaguar F-Type. No changes made to the car for this race. I'm on racing soft tires, and there's fuel consumption and tire wear in this race. I moved through the back of the field pretty steadily without much problems through the first lap, and I was able to get myself into P14 by the time I got to the straight. Heading into the second, I was in P9, then a little further up I got P8. I caught up to P6 and 7 here, then lost control and crashed into the wall twice, and obviously fell behind. I caught back up at the downward S, then crashed again, hard into the yellow tires, and got a lucky bump that helped me face the right way. I was able to eventually catch back up to them here in the third lap and got the overtake on both of them through the straight. Starting the fourth, I got into P3, but I had 0.8 of a tank left, so I lowered my fuel map to 3. 2 probably would have worked, but I went with 3 just to be safe. Later in the fourth, I caught up to P2, and as I was going for the pass, we make a little contact and I lose control and do a little dance, but manage to keep it together and not fall too far behind. And at the end of this lap, I pit for fuel and tires, and so does P1, and exit in P4. I enter the 6th lap getting P2 due to pitting. I caught up to P1 on the straight here and got the position. And I held on to it for the last lap and a bit, and after a few blunders during this race, I got the win and completed February Week 1 challenges with that victory. Done in over 16 minutes, and definitely a fun race. Another good week of races, especially with 2 of them being brand new and my first time completing them, and including another special event. The first race in the Jimny in the snow was actually pretty fun, since I'm not good in the snow and it being a new vehicle to the game. A great combination for some fun racing. The special event in the Tesla I actually enjoyed because I don't use the Teslas, and getting to put it to use wasn't bad at all to me. Using it every once in a while can make it enjoyable. The third race in the Toyota Concept was the most challenging for me due to the changes I made to the power, and after losing the first attempt, it made me really have to be on point with my driving. Race 4 was the second new race from Update 1.42, the Vision Gran Turismo Trophy. I like that it's a VGT only race, and for a second, I thought the new Genesis VGT would beat me. This is a good race that they need to expand on. The final race in the Group 4 Jaguar was also fun. With the 2 crashes I had, it made me have to work on not messing up anymore, even though I still did somewhat, but that gave me an extra challenge. I probably could have lowered the power some, but it was still a good one nonetheless. This week's races were a good bunch. Obviously having 2 of the new races and not having tried them yet made it better for me, but that's what made this lineup a good one for those of us that didn't complete them prior to this. Some good and fun racing to be had if you haven't done the challenges yet. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you next time.